Welcome to Box of Chocolates, where you never know what you're going to get. Thank you for joining me for my review of Death of a Unicorn, the horror comedy monster movie where the monsters are unicorns. That is a fun idea. You have Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega traveling to this nice fancy house for Paul Rudd's work, and they accidentally run over a unicorn, and from there, we learn about all the lore surrounding these beasts and how vengeful and dangerous they can be, and chaos ensues once they arrive at the house. So it's a fun idea when you do get the unicorns in action, slaughtering people. Those moments are very satisfying. They're nice and bloody. It's very CG heavy, which generally I'm not a fan of. This movie is not taking itself very seriously, so I don't really mind it as much. CG blood kind of fits in better when your tone is a little on the goofier side, but I do wish the CG on the unicorns themselves had actually been better. They really never look real. They never look like they're actually there. But for what the movie is, when you get the moments of bloodshed, those are some pretty fun moments. This is a really good cast all around. Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter, Téa Leoni, Richard E. Grant, Anthony Carrigan. A lot of good people in here. I think the standouts were Anthony Carrigan, he was funny, and the one I enjoyed watching the most consistently throughout the whole film, and the one who seemed like he was having a ton of fun, was Will Poulter. Every time it went back to him, I was having the most fun, and every time it cut away from him, I wanted him to get back into the scene as quickly as possible. So I knew this had some actors that I liked in it, and I knew there would be some good bloody moments, and it does have those things, but outside of those things that I expected, I was very disappointed by this. I'm actually really surprised how much I really didn't care for it. It's not really that funny, outside of those two actors that I already mentioned, who I think were doing the best job and had the best material to work with. I just don't think there's really a lot of standout humor in this. I really wasn't laughing much at all. There were a couple people in my theater who were consistently laughing, but most of it, like, I could tell the one dude behind me and one dude over here, but then that entire other side of the theater, I never heard a peep from that side. It spends quite a lot of time building things up. There's a lot of scenes that get really repetitive of Jenna Ortega researching the unicorns or trying to explain her research to other people and talking about what it's going to be like when they come and what they're going to do. And these scenes of the humans messing around with the body of the unicorn and experimenting and trying to figure out how they can use it. But it spends a lot of time focusing on that stuff. It takes half the movie for the unicorn carnage to actually begin. And a movie like this that's going for very goofy, it's about killer unicorns. Why would you take 50 minutes to get to the killer unicorns? So while there are some funny moments in there, namely from Will Poulter, I felt like it was a lot of time trying to build up like a genuine story and genuine tension. And I'm like, this ain't that kind of movie, bruv. Just get to the unicorns. And considering the quality of the CG, I'm sure they did not have the budget to make the unicorns just throughout the entire film. In that case, it needs to be either really funny, which I just don't think it really was. I don't think there was that clever of comedy outside of a few standout lines here and there, or you needed to have really strong, interesting characters, and it really doesn't. I think our leads are very boring. Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega are doing whatever they can with these roles, but they're kind of just doing their basic things. Paul Rudd is kind of just being himself, and Jenna Ortega is basically the same character that she was in Beetlejuice, except worse. Not that she's doing a bad job, the character just has less to her, and the movie has less to it. And Paul Rudd's character is kind of just a shit. Like, it's a really predictable arc. We see at the beginning that he's prioritizing his job over her, and she doesn't really like him that much. So you know where that's going. But the execution of that arc could still be well done, and I really don't even think that it is. There were never those moments that made me think, oh, they really would have a good relationship. There's just this one misunderstanding between them that they need to clear up, or they just need this one incident to push them together. No, he was just kind of a dick like the whole time. It was 95% of the movie where Paul Rudd is just making foolish decisions and being kind of spineless in the face of these rich people and not doing right by his daughter. And the entire time I'm just thinking, I'm not actually rooting for them to mend their relationship. I really don't care. I get why she doesn't like him. I don't like him either. And when they try to have emotional moments towards the end, I was not invested in that at all. You think it would be the kind of thing where the chaos ensues and that's when he starts to prioritize what really matters, but it's like, no, it takes until the end of the goddamn movie, and by that point, I really just do not care anymore. And he wasn't an interesting character either. He wasn't unlikable in an interesting way. He was very bland. He had very little personality. His entire thing is just that he works, and he's trying to make money. There's very little to the guy. There's very little for Paul Rudd to contribute at all with his performance, so he just comes across as really bland, and their whole dynamic, same thing. It's not fleshed out at all. What was Jenna Ortega's relationship with her mother like when she was alive? What was her relationship with her father like when her mother was alive? Was he always like this? Has it gotten worse lately? What else does she do with her spare time? What kind of person is she? Like, there's so much that just isn't gone into detail here. It's like bare minimum, just the trope of estranged father and child must bond over course of movie. Just copy and paste it in there from a million other movies, and nothing special or interesting or deep is done with it at all. And so there are leads, and even though I like the actors, they're really bland, and you manage to make Paul Rudd unlikable. The couple side characters, who are the funny ones, are just not enough to carry the entire thing. The rest of the characters aren't good enough, it's not consistently funny enough, and it takes way too long to actually get to the good stuff. It kind of reminded me of Cocaine Bear, a kind of absurd title promising a fun premise, but then it doesn't capitalize nearly enough on that premise. It's not fun enough, it's not funny enough, spends way too long dicking around. If you liked Cocaine Bear, I don't know, maybe you'd like this. But to me, a cocaine bear was not enough, and a regular unicorn was not enough. But what if cocaine unicorn? I think I've cracked the code. Let's get on it. Fund it. Or if you want murderous unicorns, you can watch The Cabin in the Woods, or I think they did that in an episode of Supernatural as well. You have options. I do also think there was more fun to be had with the concept of killer unicorns. Their main mode of attack is that they will charge at them and stab them with their horn or bite them. That's not different than any other animal that might have a horn or anything that can stab. You know, there are some things it does, like with the healing properties of the unicorn's blood, and it uses that to explore these themes of greed and humanity's mistreatment of nature. So it does some things that are exclusive to a mythical creature like a unicorn. But there are plenty of missed opportunities where they kind of just become these dark, enraged beasts. But it feels like you could have gotten a lot more comedy out of it if they were just the stereotypical unicorns that are like bright and happy and these colorful manes, but then they'll do things like, I don't know, vomit rainbows onto people that dissolve their faces. Acid rainbow vomit. Anything. Weird unicorn powers other than just stabbing people with their horns and healing. I don't know. There's more you could have come up with that would have been weird and memorable. But yeah, I'm surprised how much this didn't work for me. I thought it would at least be a fun time, if nothing groundbreaking, but I just wasn't laughing like I thought I would. They were not able to deliver the laughs from Paul Rudd, shockingly, because his character was so bland, and there just wasn't enough here. They didn't capitalize on the humor, the cast, the tone, because they took way too long to get things going, and I was bored. So I'm going to give Death of a Unicorn 2 out of 5. It's not bad, like there's some enjoyment to be had here, but I did not have a good time. I didn't like it. But that's all I have to say about that. Leave your thoughts on Death of a Unicorn down in the comments, whether you agree or disagree with anything that I said. I'd love to talk to you about it down there. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.